Welcome back to Geek Channel 8. I'm Eric.
And I'm Will.
Today, Jurassic World Rebirth, the end of our long running series on dinosaurs for now from 2025. Reading Ursula K. Le Guin right now.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
It's getting better. I think it just didn't start out great. In my opinion, they could lose the first few chapters of it.
You know what? I was thinking about this. Given your proclivities, it would have been interesting to see your response to The Dispossessed. That's another one of her novels. It basically explores an anarchist society, right? I'm not calling you an anarchist.
I'm not saying anything about this
But
right
I'm
now.
just saying it's interesting because it's a lot of times authors who are like exploring a political society or whatever, they're so beholden to making that idea look good. It just becomes propaganda, and I feel like she really avoided that. It seems like, okay, this is plausible, it could be like this. And a big part of the story is actually one of the characters leaving his own world, his own, what he's used to, and experiencing other forms of government in that time and place. So this is the best thing ever without a critical examination. But that's what I was thinking of when I was like, yeah, that might have been a better one for him. But honestly, it's inspired a lot of stuff, so that's probably worthwhile.
Dr. Henry Loomis, this is Zora Bennett. I'm a mission specialist.
Sorry, what mission?
This would be a medical breakthrough that could save countless lives. It comes from the largest dinosaurs on the planet.
Oh my God.
Fortunately for us, all these species exist in one isolated place. Can you be ready tomorrow?
I can guarantee your safety. I mean, more or less.
More or less?
He's your guy?
We're the best at moving things and people in and out of places they shouldn't be.
Move up towards Barbados, avoid government patrol, but there aren't that many anymore.
Why's that?
No one's dumb enough to go where we're going.
This island was the research facility for the original Jurassic Park.
We need DNA from the 3 biggest dinosaurs.
Do we have to get a sample from an egg?
I suppose we could try and get it from the parent, but they're a flying carnivore the size of an F-16.
Maybe we should make it quick.
These dinosaurs were too dangerous for the original park.
Please don't say they're raptors. They're raptors.
The worst of the worst were left here.
Come on! Duncan!
We put ourselves in a place we don't belong. Survival is a long shot.
What the hell are those?
They're helping the mosasaur defend territory, stalk, hunt.
None of what you just said is good.
David Koepp wrote the original Jurassic Park film in 1993, and screenplay credit was to him and Crichton, who wrote the novels. Koepp returned as the sole writer for The Lost World, Jurassic Park, which, remember, was more based on the original Lost World movie than it was Crichton's novel.
Yeah.
Spielberg directed those, came back as executive producer of all the other Jurassic Park/World films since then. Koepp had turned down the opportunity to write another sequel, feeling like he didn't have anything new to add to the story. He was consulted for later films and eventually did some uncredited script work on Jurassic World Dominion in 2022. Colin Trevorrow, who worked for 9 years as director and co-writer of the Jurassic World trilogy, said he probably wouldn't return to direct another film except perhaps in an advisory role. Koepp said early on, quote, "Since the first and second trilogies finished their stories, we decided not to limit ourselves. We wanted all new characters in a brand new setting," unquote. He wanted to explore humans living in a dinosaur environment again. Unlike the last two films that focus more on dinosaurs existing alongside humans worldwide, Koepp said, "I don't see where else to go with that." Koepp and Spielberg came up with a story centered on a secret island research facility for dinosaurs and worked out why characters would visit such a place. Koepp explained during his research he learned that big dinosaurs had very long lifespans because they were less prone to heart disease. This inspired the idea of creating a drug from their DNA since heart disease is the leading cause of death in humans. Koepp went back, he read both of Crichton's novels, watched all the other films, and he weaved in ideas from those into Rebirth. It includes a scene from the first novel that didn't make it into the film adaptation that fans have been waiting for years for. We'll get into what that scene is later. Koepp had no strict story rules, but set some personal guidelines. The script needed to be based on accurate science, not contradict prior films, and include some humor. He also aimed to show non-mutant dinosaurs as animals acting out of hunger or territorial instinct rather than monsters. Yes, there will be mutant dinosaurs in this. We'll get to that too. They targeted a mid-2025 release. They felt the limited production time was tight but manageable. The project had been in development for some time with several drafts already completed by Koepp. Producers had also begun some pre-production tasks, including dinosaur design, leaving little room for creative input from the eventual director. The director role was described more as a shooter than an auteur position, with producers wanting tighter control than on Jurassic World Dominion because it had received such mixed to low reviews. So they finally found someone. Gareth Edwards was announced as the director. He was chosen for his visual style and because Spielberg liked his 2014 Godzilla film. And Edwards was a huge fan of the original Jurassic Park. He had a time crunch schedule with less than a year and a half to complete the film, a process that usually takes around 2.5 years. He suggested delaying the release early on, but was overruled. He aimed to keep the balance of humor and horror that Koepp wrote, with a stronger emphasis on the scare factor than in previous Jurassic World films. Koepp welcomed Edwards' suggestions to improve the script. For example, Edwards changed a scene originally set in a cave involving a Quetzalcoatlus nest to an abandoned ancient temple. Another sequence set at a gas station mini-mart was also relocated. Edwards found the tight schedule to be beneficial, saying that too much time leads to procrastination and trying things that don't work. The role of Zora wasn't written with any gender in mind. Various actors were considered, including Jennifer Lawrence, who declined it. Scarlett Johansson was a longtime fan of the franchise, and she had wanted to be in it for over a decade. While it was in development, she got a meeting with Spielberg and pitched the idea of her being part of the film. Once Edwards signed on, he learned of Johansson's interest and cast her as Zora. She collaborated with Koepp to develop her character. That's basically all I'll say about that. On screen, we get an Allosaurus on TV in a scene from 1 million BC, which we've seen. The Ankylosaurus comes back. The Anorognathus is a new species that's shown. Apatosaurus returns. There's a new species called Aquilops, which is one of the key new dinosaurs introduced. This is the cute little 18-inch long dinosaur that is like a pet. Speaking of small dinosaurs, the Compies come back. Dilophosaurus comes back. There's a new mutant dinosaur called Distortus Rex. that was inspired by the xenomorphs from the Alien franchise and the Rancors of Star Wars. It has a big bulbous head that looks like another creature wrapped around a T-Rex. ILM's visual effects supervisor David Vickery noted that the design evokes sympathy alongside of terror, reflecting the pain its deformities cause. Edwards contributed to its design, suggesting gorilla-like arms and movement. Mosasaurus returns as the big bad of the sea. Mutodons, flying mutant animals, were hybrids combining features of pterosaurs and velociraptors. They were inspired by a bat encounter Kep had on his porch. Mutodons are described as an early failed hybrid experiment by InGen. The Mutodons and the Distortus Rex and stuff like that ties slightly into Crichton's writing. Crichton mentions that there were a lot of InGen failures, but didn't go too deep into that. Pteranodon returns, Quetzalcoatlus returns, Spinosaurus returns, but redesigned with stronger hind limbs, bigger and broader tail, webbing between its feet, and a shorter, thicker neck with fatty deposits and extra skin folds. Titanosaurus is introduced into the series. Triceratops comes back. We see a two-headed Triceratops in a tank. T-Rex comes back, but the classic T-Rex was redesigned so that people would know it wasn't the same T-Rex from the previous films. It's a different T-Rex. This classic T-Rex is redesigned to appear as a different individual inspired by the 1969 film The Valley of Gwangi. Edwards described it as healthier, heavier, more muscular, more bull-like, but still keeping the typical Jurassic Park look. There are a couple of unnamed things, like an unnamed amphibian, an unnamed eel, an unnamed ornithopod. And then, of course, the Velociraptors return with new designs. So that's it. Any questions?
Wow. We did stay and watch the credits because we were looking for some bonus stuff. Didn't get any, but in any case, man, I was surprised. At this point, I'm expecting almost everything to be manufactured in the lab, so to speak. I'm not talking about the dinosaurs. I'm talking about, the backgrounds, you name it. But they shot all over the place. Like, they shot in a lot of different spots. There were so many different crews, so much different stuff. I think in particular, Thailand stuck out. Was that a matter of, I don't know, getting money? Was it just getting these shots? Did they just actually just say, hey, we could make this in the lab, or we could just go and take these shots. We can go.
I think it was they had such little time to turn it around that they didn't have time to design all the green screen stuff. So they're just like, let's just go shoot this for real.
Well, it looked great. So that's.
The sparkling drinks are just dandy, the chocolate bars and the candy. So let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
I sat down, I'm like, well, who knows what this is going to be? I'm going to have to get really creative. Who knows? No, I'm sorry, guys. It's licorice. That's what it is. It's licorice. That's it.
Okay.
Yeah, it's licorice. Alternatively, if you really, really don't like either red or black licorice, I'm pretty sure it's red. But anyway, you can always have a Snickers. And that all figures into the plot. As a matter of fact, you could just basically go down any of the Mars candy, like.
Unlike certain past films, like, say, E.T., where it focuses on Reese's Pieces, this film has candy all over the place.
Oh my gosh.
I think they were like, throw in every candy because we don't have a tie-in deal yet, and we don't know which one's going to say yes or give us the best.
I mean, they had Altoids. They had it just kept on going and going. They had lots of candy, guys. And yeah. So.
Okay.
It's old school. This is what you eat when you're going to the movies. And pretty much, I guess you should stick to Mars Candy Corporation if you really want to be true on theme. But yeah.
All right. I'm going to throw my suggestion in for a food pairing for this movie.
Oh.
All right. Before you go and eat all that candy, I'm going to suggest something healthier to eat before you go.
All right. Let's hear this.
All right. Jambalaya. All right.
Oh,
Jambalaya.
okay.
As everyone knows, I'm a big fan of Louisiana cooking. Louisiana cooking generally features what's called the Holy Trinity: celery, onions, and green peppers. So I'm going to talk about three things, and everything in this recipe is going to follow three things, and you just stick to that. It makes a lot of jambalaya. So if you have a small family or don't want leftovers for days and days, when I say three, when it comes to the measurements, you can lower it to two. But this is how I make jambalaya. So there's the Holy Trinity, but before you get to the vegetables, you start with the meats. And it's like surf and turf, but also sky. So you get one land animal, one
I
sea
see what
animal,
you're doing
and
there.
one bird. All right. Traditionally in jambalaya, that would be sausage, chicken, and shrimp. But really, you can do any kind of sausage like meat, or really any kind of meat, red meat. Chicken would be your poultry, but you could do it with duck, you could do it with turkey, whatever. And then a seafood, often shrimp, but could also be mussels. Now, when I give you these three, you are not limited to that. It's just you need at least those three things. So in addition to that, you could throw in some bacon, or you could throw in, whatever, because all jambalaya means is a mix up. It's a big mashup of stuff. I don't know what the exact translation is, but once you got your three, once you got your air, your water, and your land animal, you brown those all up in a big pot, the biggest pot you got. Okay. You brown them up. And if there's not enough fat, grease from that alone, then you can add a little bit more oil to it.
Oh, I love this. Yeah, you're talking my language right there.
So now once you've got all those meat like browning in there, that everything's in threes. So it's about 3 minutes. Okay. So about 3 minutes, you then take 3 cups of rice and you pour the rice in there and start crisping up and browning up the rice.
Wait, is that already cooked or is that?
No, just 3 cups of rice. It can be
nice.
2 cups if you don't want to make as much, but 3 cups. I do everything in threes. So it's 3 kinds of protein here: sausage, chicken, and shrimp. And there's a traditional kind of sausage they use in New Orleans cooking. You can look it up. But any kind of sausage works, or really any kind of red meat works. So I do the Creole method. There are Creole jambalayas and there are Cajun jambalayas.
Oh, man.
And the difference is tomatoes. So Creole has tomato and Cajun doesn't. So for Creole, you get 3 jars of crushed tomatoes, and that's got all the juice and stuff like in it, and you pour that in. Okay, and that becomes whatever. If you're making Cajun style, you'll use like chicken stock instead. 3 cans of chicken stock or something. You can also mix and match. You can do like 2 of one and 1 of the other, uncovered. Stirring it. During the stirring part, that's when you start adding in the spices. And there's 3 spices that you have to have. You can add a lot more spices after this, but you need cayenne pepper, black pepper, and salt. Those 3 are the 3 you need. You throw in the Holy Trinity: chopped up onions, chopped up celery, and chopped up green pepper.
All right.
So those are your 3 vegetables. So you got your 3 meats, your 3 vegetables, and your 3 spices. Beyond that, you can add anything you want. If you want to add another carrots, you can add carrots. If you want to add another vegetable, you can add another vegetable. But as long as it has the Holy Trinity, you're good. Spices, you can add more spices. You want parsley in there, throw some parsley in there. You want oregano in there, throw some oregano in there. Whatever you want, like you can add to that garlic powder, but as long as you got cayenne pepper, black pepper, and salt, you're good. once all that's in there, cooked for 10 minutes on the heat, uncovered, stirring from time to time, cover it 10 more minutes on the heat, covered. Then you take it off the heat, 10 more minutes, sit it just sitting. So 10, 10, 10, three tens. And that's it. You're done. So that is jambalaya the way I do jambalaya. Now, there's all sorts of fancy things, and there'll be purists and stuff like that. I'll say, you don't do it this way, you do it that way. But fact is, jambalaya has been done for long, long time by a lot of people, and there's a lot of different ways to make it.
All right, man. That first of all, that was wonderful, and I love the freedom and luxury of, hey, you don't like this, choose that, but with structure. So some structure, but also like freedom. I love that. I am going to ask you in particular because it just occurred to me, and I was just listening to a podcast about about trees that you can eat their leaves, and what came up, of course, was gumbo and its primary ingredient. I'm assuming that's one thing you wouldn't want to put in this, because then it would be a gumbo.
Do what you want. It's like, yeah, you could put gumbo in it if you wanted. Some people would say you then have a gumbo. Some people would still say it's jambalaya, whatever. I consider jambalaya as long as it's got the 3 sets of 3. So you got your red meat, your poultry, and your fish. Yeah. Oh, I didn't mention seafood could also be fish. So could be scallops, any kind of seafood, as long as you got one air, one land, and one water. And then the holy trinity of all Louisiana cooking, which is celery, onion, and green pepper, or bell pepper, as some people call it. And then your 3 spices, cayenne pepper, black pepper, and salt. And for cayenne pepper, you can use I sometimes will just use crystal hot sauce and just pour some, in and keep tasting it until I decide it's hot enough,
The only Louisiana style cooking comes in the house really is in the form of Tony's green canister, which is awesome on pretty much everything. You can just put that stuff on everything, like literally everything from soups to nuts, and it's delicious. And of course, that you've used enough, because when you use it and the red pepper, it makes you sneeze, then you've probably gotten enough there. But yeah, no, I am actually kind of stoked. I'm like, I can make this, and at least one person in my family would actually eat this.
Yeah. So if you don't have at least 4 people eating, with a teenager, you might want to do only 2 cups of rice and 2 jars of crushed tomato.
Right on.
You want to get into why I chose something that had a land animal, a air animal, and a sea animal?
Well, yeah, we should get into that. That was really brilliant, though. I loved it.
All right. So this movie opens in 2010, 5 years before the Jurassic World incident. InGen is using this lab on Isle St. Hubert. It's an island in the Atlantic Ocean to create genetically mutated dinosaurs. We see that there's this sort of lab accident where we see it for the first time. There's this giant deformed tyrannosaur they call the Distortus Rex. So it escaped, killed an employee, caused so much damage that the people working there had to abandon the island.
And this is a throwback to what I was mentioning before. Why does the containment fail? Because some guy was eating a Snickers bar right before he went in and just threw this wrapper on the ground. It got sucked up into something that then went overheated and jammed the doors, and I'm like, that is some weird ass product placement. It's like, oh yeah, hey, eat Snickers. This will get you killed.
I accepted it, but I was kind of like, wow, who built this system that could be it's like this door this is worse than the holodeck on Star Trek. It's like,
here's the thing. Life will find a way, and sometimes apparently the way it finds is with a Snickers wrapper. I don't know, man. But well, I mean, look, it was I'm going to say for this scene, it was horrific. It
Oh, I
was
thought you were going to
horrific.
say it was non-union contractors. So then it fast forwards to 2027. We learn that most of the dinosaurs are dying off because they can't live in Earth's climate. So they only continue to thrive in this area, this what they call the blue band, I think, around the equator, where people are forbidden to go. Because supposedly that has like a climate more similar to the Mesozoic era. So you get Martin Krebs, an executive at a pharmaceutical company called Parker Genix. He brings together Zora Bennett, a former military covert operative. Basically, this is the Scarlett Johansson character. Paleontologist Dr. Henry Loomis, which I guess is yet another reference to Dr. Loomis from the Halloween series. Like Loomis pops up in a ton of things, that name, especially having to do with horror stuff. They got this top secret mission. They decide they're going to gather biomaterial from the three biggest prehistoric creatures left: one avian, one aquatic, and one land.
Gotta catch them all. Gotta catch them all.
Yeah. They hold the secret to treating heart disease, apparently.
Yes, they can extend life by 20 years, which, let's face it, that's pretty priceless for most people, especially if you could extend life and it not suck the last 20 years. So one thing is Zora is just like, not interested until he's like, and did I mention we have lots of money? And she's like, oh, well, what were you saying again? And then the doctor, they have to tempt him because they're like, you know, you've never seen a real dinosaur in the wild, so basically you're just like some dude who only visited zoos. That's how they hook those two. Then Scarlett, excuse me, I'm sorry, Zora, she has a crew. So they're going to go hook up with her crew because she's done stuff like this before.
Yeah, so she brings in Duncan Kincaid to lead the expedition. Duncan brings along boat driver Leclerc, mercenary Nina, and chief of security Bobby Atwater. What have we said about
like what's going to happen to that guy?
So, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
They head to Isle St. Hubert to collect samples from the aquatic Mosasaurus, the terrestrial Titanosaurus, and the avian Quetzalcoatlus. So they first go after the Mosasaurus in the waters around the island. And that's where there's this family that's traveling by boat.
The Delgados.
Yeah.
And boyfriend.
So, yeah, it's basically a guy and his two daughters, teenage daughter and young daughter, and the teenage daughter's boyfriend. The actor that plays the dad, I haven't seen him before, but he looks a lot like Pedro Pascal. So that's who I thought it was at first. Their boat basically gets capsized by this giant water creature, which we're pretty sure is the Mosasaurus. And so then they start calling for help. The crew hunting the Mosasaurus hear this, and originally they have a little debate about what to do.
Yeah.
The evil pharmaceutical dude, of course, doesn't want to go help them. But then he's overruled, and they go rescue them. And they do find them, and they do manage to rescue them.
They're being all cagey about what they're there for. And then there's like, oh, we should go drop them off. It's like, we don't got time for that and different stuff. Because what they're doing is incredibly illegal. And also, they're doing it on the down low because there's other people who might want to do the same thing. And especially if they found out what, the possible uses for this. So, well, a mercenary crew and a corporate guy. And so you got to get some split on what matters the most. But they're still on board. And instead of them hunting it down again, it comes to them.
Yeah, and it also has Spinosaurs working with it, attacking them. And so they basically, the Mosasaurus has a gang of Spinosaur that work for it. When the family learns what's going on, they're like, just drop us off. anywhere, but no, it's too late. Long story short, this turns into a big battle between them and these, and they're trying to avoid stuff. Between the family and the crew, we had like 10 or 11 people,
Yeah.
and it's quickly whittled down to like 2/3 of that.
Yeah.
The family's still alive, and like four of the Merc crew.
Oh, and this is an important point. So in the midst of this, things are going south really quickly. They managed to get the blood and everything, but even though they're done with the dinosaur, it's not done with them, and it continues to pursue them and chase them with Spinosaurs. They end up making a run for the shallows because they can't follow them there. In the middle of this, there's the family, the Delgados, and the dad. He was prepared to sail across the ocean with these kids. So he's not a total idiot. He's preparing them. Like, this is what we got to do. We're getting ready. He sends his teenage daughter to go do an SOS before they have to abandon ship. And corporate representative Schmuckman is there, and he follows her actually into it, and it's like, oh, no, we want to do that, but no, we have to handle this ourselves. And listen, they're being chased by this giant dinosaur, and he's still trying to. If you guys remember in Aliens, we had a corporate handler along with them.
Yes.
And yes, totally inspired by that. Look, we love this character. We love to hate this character, and it was great.
Yeah.
He wrestles with her. She falls and is hanging off the side of the boat, screaming for help, and he does not help her.
Yes.
Falls.
Yes. He is very reminiscent of the Paul Reiser character.
Reiser, that's who it was.
Yeah. And he doesn't help her, and so eventually, she falls off, and the boyfriend jumps in to rescue her.
Yeah, which is cool because before we're like, oh, this boyfriend, is just like a sort of a lazy ne'er-do-well, right? But later on, the father's like, respect, man. I respect that you did that for my daughter. So, yeah.
Everybody gets shipwrecked basically on the island.
Yeah.
And they're in two different groups because they got separated in that whole fight. So the family's trying to make their way to the high ground, and the Merc team decides they're going to keep going on the mission. So the first thing they're going to go after is the Titanosaurus. They've already got them. They managed to get the Mosasaurus sample. So they need now they need the Titanosaurus one. That they actually do without a ton of trouble, right?
Oh yeah. No, there's Loomis. He does the stand-in for our dark-haired doctor because Krebs is like, we're smarter than them. Humans rule the earth. He's like, no, we don't rule the earth. We just think we do. Everything is, yeah.
That whole speech was practically cribbed from like two sources. One was, of course, George Carlin's "The Planet is Fine." Like it was like I'm trying to think of what the other one that it struck me as when he was talking. It was us. It was me. Like when we had a previous episode, remember I said that we consider intelligence to be like such a great human, like
an
important characteristic. But if you were asked a tyrannosaur would be like, intelligence is not that important. Being strong is, or being fast. And he sort of goes into that same concept where like we overrate human intelligence because we are smart, but we've only barely been on this planet,
Well, I think it's like when birds are like, well, obviously, if you can't fly, then what are you even here for?
Yeah, we talked about that during BC Rock, where I'm like, flight is such a great defense mechanism against anything. Anything looks like it's going south, just fly. It's like,
I don't know if this came up then, but like there's a Love, Death, and Robots, an episode of that was from a good short story, but basically it comes down to, this idea that we're like, oh yeah, no, intelligence is what makes us able to do whatever and da-da-da. And we come up against an ancient alien entity, which only communicates with us in a sentient way because only does that and basically awakens its intelligence sort of thing to tell us is like, honestly, I've evolved past intelligence. It's a dead end, and you actually are going to be absorbed into me, and I'm getting more It's a really good episode. So anyway, yeah, that speech was perfect for this series. It was a good fit, and I loved it. So that was that like sort of the interval before we got to see the Gigantosaurus.
And some of that may have been previous lines written for Ian Malcolm. I don't know if that was exactly them because that's not exactly his character, but there are some lines that were originally written for Jeff Goldblum that didn't get used that they're like, let's reuse them in this.
Mhm.
Anyway, they managed to get the sample from the Titanosaurus, and then the next thing is the tough one, Quetzalcoatlus.
Yeah.
So they basically have to scale all the way up this cliffside to get into a old cliffside temple. Who made the temple? Who knows?
No, I mean, like, I'm like, why is this doing here? I'm like, did they like, were they like, hey, this would be good for the theme park? I don't know.
It's the requisite Indiana Jones shit, right?
You know what? Yeah, it really was. It was like, let's put this in here. All right, so I just want to point out, up until this point, two people from like the ensemble have died, and neither of them were the black guy.
Yeah. Well, there's two black guys, remember?
That's
yeah.
true. But it was like, wow, did not go first or second even.
Yeah.
Okay, but yeah, so they do the climb, and it's tense. And of course, while they're going after the egg, because they're like, we don't, what are we gonna do? Like, fight this giant thing? They kept on describing it as the size of a bus. It did not seem like the size of a bus.
No, it did not seem like the size. It was
But,
big, but it wasn't.
It was big enough to eat a man. So, okay, big enough. Let's back up for a second, because in the very beginning, where they're like, you have a security specialist. He's armed with this gun that shoots neurotoxin. And, there's a little back and forth between Dr. Henry Loomis and him about oh, you can't kill a dinosaur. Here's where you tell me you can't kill a dinosaur because it's illegal. He's like, no, I'll tell you it's not illegal. It's a sin. I'm like, dude, I think they're doing okay. There's lots of them. I mean, literally, I know they're not all over the world, but these guys are doing all right. But anyway, yeah. So of course that gun does absolutely nothing, and also that guy's a terrible shot. And of course, nobody brings any actual weapons with them. Like, nobody. This whole mercenary crew, ex special forces, they don't even have a side piece. They have nothing. As a matter of fact, I'm pretty sure none of them are Americans, because can you imagine? I mean, they didn't have any accents. Well, okay, most of them actually did have an accent, but I'm like, oh well, Duncan or Zora, aren't you guys American?
I wonder if that was a Spielberg
You thought
thing.
this was a good idea?
Like, I wonder if it was a Spielberg mandate, like no guns.
Yeah, I mean, you can't let us have the guns we could have. I mean, he has an entire. I mean, it looks like a patrol PT boat. It's like huge. It's beautiful. It's the kind of thing that in a different movie they would have had 50 cows. It's just as well they skip the guns instead of just making them ineffectual, which is what usually happens. One way or the other, you can't have the true horror and fear of these ginormous animals if we can just pour gunfire down on them, because that will kill them. Ultimately, you're like, wait, what are they, bulletproof? Do they? No. So, of course, there's no guns, except there is one gun. There is a single gun.
Yeah, because they find it.
Yes, the shady corporate fellow, Martin Krebs, he finds a gun. It's in the hands of the corpse of a fallen pilot. Looks like a helicopter. I mean, let's face it. If you don't fly a helicopter near any of these animals, it's not good. Just you're gonna die probably. But anyway, yeah. So that guy's there with the gun. He finds the gun and he doesn't say anything to anyone else. Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah, and even though it's been in this rainforest for God knows how long and all that, it's in perfect working order. That is a minor quibble compared.
No big deal. I mean, and even now, Zora's on him about like, you were the last one with her. What happened? Which seemed unnecessary. But she's already suspicious of him.
Yeah.
Even though we know what happened. So it seemed unnecessary and forced, but whatever.
The Merc team, like we said, they have to collect the Quetzalcoatl sample, and that's a whole exciting scene up,
Yeah.
hanging on the ledge, and it's a literal cliffhanger. Meanwhile, the Delgados, they're making their way through the jungle. In one of the cases where they're hiding from a dinosaur, Isabella, the younger girl, finds a little Aquilops, tiny little like dinosaur, which she sort of keeps as a sort of pet or something.
Yeah.
But they eventually end up coming across Dilophosaurus that is feeding. It's feeding on a corpse of another dinosaur. The other dinosaur happens to be a Parasaurolophus carcass. And then a T-Rex shows up, and they decide for whatever reason they got to travel by river, and they get a raft. They manage to get a raft. It's an inflatable raft, but it attracts the attention of the nearby T-Rex, and then this turns into a chase with the T-Rex chasing him down the river. This is a scene that was in Michael Crichton's original book and never made it into any of the films. So they finally stuck it in.
Okay, so for real, Becca was like, wait, why are they doing this? Because I'm like, at first when you're approaching, they see that there's a boat. It's not the one they end up getting, but they see there's a boat, and their teenage daughter, Teresa, she swims across. Her dad's got a bad leg, so, her boyfriend stays with him. Anyway, she swims across to get the boat. And then then they can see that there's not, first of all, there's a corpse of a giant creature, so something killed it and didn't finish eating it yet. And then there's you gave the correct name. I'm just going to call it, but we can call it in the fandom the spitter dinosaur. With it has
The frill,
it spits and paralyzes you and then eats you while you're still alive or something like that. Anyway, I forget how that works, but yeah. So she sees that, and this entire time I'm like, I don't think you need the boat that bad. And then it leaves because the T-Rex is over on the other side, and it's like it's had a full belly sort of, and it rolls over. She still doesn't leave. She still goes after the boat and does the inflation. And Becca's like, what are they doing? I'm like, I think you have to do this because having been soaked in this genre so long, I'm pretty sure we have to have they were like, oh, we're in the jungle. We got to have a boat scene. That's just, we got to have a boat down the river scene. We're already in the jungle. It has to happen. I don't know, man. It was, I don't know. It was an exciting scene, and bringing the family paid off because you got to see, or you had to see, the little girl in peril. Not for the last time. There's a lot of little girl in peril stuff. There was a lot of terror. This was a movie that I would say trended more towards the scares and fear. Yeah. And this was one of those scenes. So even though, again, I'm not sure, it felt kind of contrived, I don't remember reading the book. And that is not a scene that I felt was missing, but a lot of fans obviously did. So good payoff.
Because this is still a fairly new film, we're gonna leave it here and not give any more spoilers toward how this ends. We're not gonna go past this.
All right, that's excellent. Excellent.
Reaction though.
Okay. This is just first of all, personal reaction. I was glad to see Scarlett Johansson, and I was glad to not see the previous stars from the last thing. Different reasons, but that made me pretty happy. I really liked Ali as Duncan Kincaid. The whole subplot, backstory going on there. I thought this was a solid entry. I will actually, in the entire series, I would put this in the top 3.
I had a different reaction. I did not like this one.
Oh.
In fact, this is more no, I can't give it a complete thumbs down, but on a scale of 1 to 10, with 1 through 5 not being worth seeing, or being maybe a 5 being just for super fans of a genre or something like that, 6 through 10 being just worth seeing all the way up to really worth seeing, best of the best. At 10, yeah. This is like a 6. It's just over the line for me. And there's a bunch of reasons. First of all, 2 things about the premise really make me mad. I hate that they immediately reverted Jurassic World back to like, oh, all the dinosaurs are dying off, so they only exist around the equator. It's like it was the perfect setup for having like the dinosaur apocalypse, right? Like I really wanted to see that. That's what they had been heading toward, and then they like pull the rug out from under you. And it goes back to, okay, dinos are only in this little area.
Yeah.
Second of all, it has mutant dinosaurs. And that also is one of the things in the series that I don't really like that much. I'm like, are regular dinosaurs not scary enough? It's like, I'm totally okay with regular dinosaurs. Then a lot of stuff is like, why are they doing this? Like you said with the raft, it's like, why are they doing this? Why are they doing that? Why are they doing this? Like, I wanted to like Scarlett Johansson as a merc. I never bought it. I never bought into it. I was like, okay, she's been Black Widow. She can do this. I come into it and it's like, I didn't buy it. Now I did not need a Linda Hamilton type or a
There's only one of her, so
Ripley type, from Aliens. I did not need her to be that badass or anything like that, but I needed to believe, and I did not believe that she was that merc.
that's fair. I felt like she was struggling with the weapon in her, like, okay, we won't get into the details, but like, yeah, I do feel you on that.
But the whole merc crew did not feel like sort of the alien space marines or whatever. It's like, and I didn't realize it at the time, but maybe it's the lack of guns. It's just like they would not go into this situation without guns. And I believe there are ways you could handle guns. Basically, like, there are a bazillion dinosaurs on that island. There's only so much ammo. You're going to run out sooner or later. Also, guns could be dropped off of like when you're trying to climb cliffs. There's lots of ways you could lose your weapon. It could get broken. It could, they could have had guns, and I think that would have gone a long way. Because I wouldn't go near that island without weapons, And there was a lot of things that like were either convenient, like him finding the gun and the gun just manages to work despite the fact that it's not rusty or anything, despite being in a rainforest all that time, I did not like any of the characters really that much. Like there are some that I kind of would have liked if I got to know him a little better, maybe like some of the Merc team, but I especially did not like the Delgado family. They all annoyed me, especially the boyfriend. Him just jumping in to save the girlfriend did not redeem him in my eyes the way it did the dad. But I didn't like the dad that much either. I didn't like any of it. Like the dad, I was just like, why are you You're supposed to be an experienced sailor. Why are you going there? Like, why are you doing this? It's like the one place in the world where like you're most likely to run into giant dinosaurs. It's like,
okay, I'm going to back this up for a second. A lot of these movies I've seen only on the small screen. I went to the movie theater for this. I wonder if that, I don't know, improved my view of it.
I think it probably did because these kinds of movies definitely benefit from being on the big screen. I almost went to see it in like IMAX or something, but I was like, okay, no, I'm not going to do that. But on the whole, I thought there were two really good action scenes. One was the Quetzalcoatl like cliffside action scene, and the other was the T-Rex chase down the river. But how they got to those situations, like the temple, it's like, who built a Mesoamerican temple in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean? Like, that's more interesting than the dinosaurs right now. I want to know who built this place, It's like...
Oh, no, you know what that reminds me, though? That reminds me of, like, the last movie in the series where like, they're in the underground, the evil big bad guy, corporate guy there gets them trapped there. And they're walking through, and they're dealing with the dinosaurs that are down there. And there's, like, a pile of human skulls. Never addressed. Never addressed. It's like, it's just there. It's like, what was this?
So this was one of my least favorite, bottom three of this series. I didn't like any of the characters. I think that's part of it too. It seriously did not have anyone that I was that into. And I'm a big Scarlett Johansson fan. And it was struggling to keep me like... So yeah, that's where I am with this. Oh, and most importantly for our show, no Dino on Dino Battle of the Week.
Holy crap.
There was no dino versus dino battle that I could think of. The dinos worked with each other, and the
Wow.
dinos ate dead other dinos.
Yeah.
I don't remember a dino fight.
I mean, was there even? Oh wait, there was. There was. There
What
was one,
what
and
was
it
it?
was a super cheesy scene. So you probably hated that too. Xavier goes off for some reason, way far off to go take a leak. I mean, mind you, he was sleeping with his girlfriend in her dad's boat. So I'm not sure why he was going. Anyway, fine.
Oh
But
God.
no, he goes off to take a leak, and that's when the dino, and it's
Yeah.
yeah. Okay, so
Yeah. I'm not gonna give that the dino on dino battle of the week sound effect.
okay. Look, I like, you know what? I just realized something, Eric. I'm not objective at all. Like, I got to go out on a date with my wife.
Maybe I'll make you go to the actual movies more often. So, not to diss it too much, I'm still a sucker for like big monster movies. So, it was still worth it, just on the barely side of worth it. I wouldn't recommend people go pay full price for it though. Wait until you can watch it on streaming, or if you got to see it in the theater, wait for the second run.
Wait, guys. If you have a sticky floored, like, low cost theater, you should go see it there.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
you want to go, or you have a drive-in. That's great.
So I almost saw it at the drive-in, but it was the second feature later at night at the drive-in, and the
Oh
first
God,
feature was
yeah.
How to Train Your Dragon, which I've already seen. So I didn't want to like watch How to Train Your Dragon again so soon. So I don't know if I talked about that on a previous episode, but the live action How to Train Your Dragon to me is superfluous. You don't
Yeah.
need it. The animated version is better, and so why bother remaking it?
Cha-ching.
It's like a shot for shot remake practically, and you don't need that.
Eric, you don't like money, you communist.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I would totally dig a live action film set in the How to Train Your Dragon universe
Yeah.
that was a new story.
I mean, it's a big universe. They got a lot of stuff going on there, honestly. It's pretty good.
I'll still give it a barely thumbs up or thumbs sideways. It's like just barely above the line on this. But there's so many other better movies, and there's so many other better Jurassic Park / Jurassic World movies than this one, in my opinion. So there we go. That will do it for this week. If you want to give us your feedback, do you fall on my side of the aisle where this movie's not that great, or do you fall on Will's side of the aisle where this movie is awesome? You can tell us by writing GC8 podcast. That's letter G, letter C, number 8 podcast at gmail.com. Please like, subscribe, rate, and review on whatever platforms you use to access this podcast. But most importantly, tell 2 other people about the show. Just 2 other people is all we're asking for, because we rely on word of mouth to get things out. Until next time, this is Eric.
And this is Will.
Signing off.
Life will find a way. And sometimes, apparently, the way it finds is with a Snickers wrapper. I don't know, man.